How's it going? My name is Brent from Encore, PPF and Tint, and today we are going to go over the process of wrapping some edges. So we're going to be doing some wrapping, some heat sealing, as well as potentially a little bit of tucking. I think all the trimming's already done, but there may be a tiny bit of that as well. We'll see how things go. These are basically the finishing steps on this job. And we're gonna heat seal every edge, and I've already done the install yesterday, and then everything sat overnight drying. That overnight isn't absolutely necessary, it's just how it worked out. So let's go ahead and get started on going over some of these different areas and how we approach pushing them down. All right, so you can see right here, we're hanging over the edge, and even, let's see, can you see down this far? I don't know, but even as you get down this far, you can see that we're still visibly, this material is not tacked right here on the edge. So before I even put any heat on it, what I want to go ahead and do is run my finger down it. And I'm kind of running my finger down it at an angle. And what we want to do is get off of the front and onto the side, and then we can start adding a little bit of heat to this. All right. And once we warm it up a little bit, we'll go ahead and start wrapping it around. Just kind of go back and forth on it. It usually takes about 3 swipes to get each section down. And then actually down here, you can see that we're hanging over a bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and push all of this down to this crevice here in between these two. All right, so now that I pushed that down, we're gonna go ahead and trim this off. Let's see, this is kind of a weird area because of the angles. Okay. Kind of stick my fingernail into that, try to see if I can get it to tear. It's not really wanting to tear right there. Okay. It's kind of a funky angle I had to hold the blade at. See if we can come back this way and catch our same line. All right, there we go. And then we'll just push that down. Then we'll come back and we'll put some heat on it and heat seal that edge down. Okay, a little heat back in here. Okay, and we'll go ahead and go around this edge. So that first time I just went around with my thumb, and then the second time I actually took my fingernail and kind of jammed it into that crevice, and then went up just to make sure that all that was getting stuck down. All right, we'll keep working our way around. So in these areas that it's hard to kind of get your finger to lay in there, I'll either do that thing with my fingernail to make sure I get that very edge down, or I'll come back with something like this here, and get in there for that edge. And if this part doesn't want to get all the way in there, then I'll use the other side of this here, like that. So I did tuck this back in behind here, so I am just kind of pushing that in some more, making sure that that's all staying down back in there. And then we'll go ahead and put some heat on it. You know, you also see these, what do they call it? It's like a seam where when they're making the panel that they don't sand down anymore, they just kind of leave them. My worry with these is that dirt is going to get in this and then travel down, and you're going to get a dirt line behind the material. So what I like to do with these is put some heat on them, and then start at the bottom and then try to push most of that out as much as you can. There, I trapped a tiny bit of air in there even on that one. That's a bummer. I'll come back with that, or come back and hit that with a needle and get the rest of that air pocket out. Guess I wasn't, maybe not pushing hard enough. All right, and so then right at the top of that, I like to make sure and spend a little bit of extra time pushing that down to make sure that that doesn't pop back up. And then don't let that happen. Put some more pressure on that. That doesn't normally happen, but as soon as I get the camera out, it's bound to happen. All right, so we're just putting some heat on this. And we're basically mostly sticking to the fender still. You can see there's a little imperfection in the paint here. Kind of push that guy out. I am getting this area on the bumper too, since they're both right here. But you do want to, you want to do this pretty methodically, because you don't want to be missing parts of the fender because you go messing around on other pieces. All right, so right in here. Go ahead and push down. That was, so I'm running across this, which will attach more of this that's kind of wrapping a little bit in here, as well as push down the headlight. And this does wrap over on the top just a little bit because I've got it hanging over just a little, so let's try to get something in there to hold that down. Okay. So in this area, we're just heat sealing this edge. Just be careful when you're putting heat on stuff near plastic and rubber parts that you don't melt them. I'm running at 650 degrees right now. You can go warmer, then you just need to move the heat gun faster. All right, just slowly rolling that over that edge. And actually it looks like, let's take a look here, see what we can do. It wants this piece of rubber to come back. And for the material to tuck down behind it there. Okay, we'll get this back in place. There we go. Okay, let's see. So we've got a part that needs to go in here, and then we've got a clip right there. Okay, there it is. Okay, and then on this again, you know, we do want to make sure that we're over that edge so that we've pushed everything down that's visible, like when the hood's closed. And then the rest of this we can heat up and wrap it around in. Again, this one's bumping into the plastic. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's heat seal the edges on this headlight, and then we'll move on to the hood. So when you're going across this, about where you want to be with the heating up the material is you want your finger to still slide across the material. So if you feel that your glove is starting to really like stop sliding and it's feeling more tacky, then you're starting to get the material pretty hot, and you're going to need to be careful there because it's very easy at that point to bunch the material up on the edge. And then also you could probably see at some point here when I was coming through here, I did push this part down, and that's because this part was sticking up a little bit and I don't want to damage it when I'm trying to push down around this headlight here. Okay. So first thing, I want to kind of push this down, make sure that we're wrapped around a little bit. And then we can start adding heat to this. Sometimes with these edges now you can come under here, and then sometimes you need to come underneath the hood and face them this direction here. Hopefully you can see that, so that I can warm that material up a little bit. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and again make sure that we're wrapped down to almost underneath the hood, and then we'll do the heat. All right, let's go take care of this other side. And actually, before we can work on the hood, we're going to take care of this fender. We don't want to bump into any of this while we're messing with this area. we're gonna start working here, so we want to make sure and take care of this fender first so that we don't bump anything on the fender while we're working on the hood. Alright, so we'll go ahead and make sure this is wrapped around a little again. So you can see this area is hanging over, so I'm going to kind of try and wrap it around to the back side of this. Okay, now with that down, we should be able to close the door. We'll come across the top here. So right here at the corner, all right, so we'll get this down right here. And I'm right up against the edge. I'm almost underneath this piece of rubber here, just a tiny bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a little heat on that and then make sure it's down. You want to make sure and keep this squeegee or this hard card at an angle, because if you go like this, you run the risk, if you just go straight with the material there, you run the risk of bunching this material over on itself. So because of the way we did the other side, we do know that this needs to come apart here in order to wrap. So I'm going to start there in the corner and then work my way away from the corner. Okay, and let's come this way towards the front of the vehicle a little bit more. Okay, that way we can fiddle around with this without bumping into that. Okay. All right, again, let's wrap this a little bit before we start putting the heat on it. That heat is going to make it real malleable, and the problem with that is with so much hanging over, you really run the risk of folding the material over on itself as you try to push it down. Okay, go ahead and get some of this down. Okay, and we're bumping right here. Let's go ahead and see if we can pull that away a little bit, sneak that underneath. Great. Okay, that looks really good. Go ahead and push this down first. And then we'll get some heat on it. All right, I can see it's hanging over a little bit right there, and I can't fit my finger in there, so I'm gonna find a different tool that'll fit in there well. All right. Sticking my fingernail in there, making sure we've got everything sealed down. Work our way around this fender flare. All right, now let's continue on to this hood here. And then we're going to come underneath here. It's a good idea to wrap the... You can't really see that I'm doing it, but if you take the cord, wrap it around your body like that so that it's hanging on your back, it'll keep it off of the panel here. It'll keep it off the panel while you're up against here. Otherwise, if you just let it hold out there, it's going to be rubbing on the vehicle. We don't want that. So I like to wrap my corners first and then work away from them. So all these edges are prepped with 70% rubbing alcohol to make sure that there's no wax or contamination underneath the hood that's going to cause us a problem. Hey Ron.
Hey,
morning. We'll go ahead and make sure this is wrapped almost to underneath the hood, and maybe even to underneath the hood to be fine. And then we'll put some heat on it. In these areas like this, we're going to get a little bit of extra buildup of material, so I like to get those down first, and then again work away from those areas. Same with an area like this here. Get that one down, and then we'll get the rest down or away from it. Okay. So on this edge here, you can see that we've got a little bit of bunched up material here. And you're going to get that on vehicles that have more of, like, if this was a sharper corner and things like that, you would have more material because this is such a nice even bend, it's not so bad. But what I'm going to do with that is heat it up. I'm going to put about, you know, roughly somewhere around 8 seconds on it. And then I'm going to push that down. And as you can see, that's pretty much gone away now. It's stuck itself down real well, and we don't have to worry about that, those little fingers coming up any further. All right, so let's get a little bit different view on this one. So we're going to wrap this edge a little bit. I'm going to put some heat on it. You can see it kind of starting to get actually blew itself up onto the hood right there. We don't want it to stick down before we push it down. We just kind of go back and forth over those little fingers and massage them down. And then again, we've got that little bit of extra material here. 8/1000 roughly. And just put a bunch of pressure on it, and that sticks that down. Okay. So you can see where that had some fingers there, or waviness to it. I kind of went back and forth over that area and then move slowly each time, move my finger in, and that helps spread out that waviness so that it doesn't just, if you just go like this with it, well, it's sitting there like that, you're just going to put, each one of those is just going to crease right over on itself. All right, and then just so you know that, like right now we're gonna go around and heat seal and touch everything up on the bumper, and we still need to do this headlight as well as this piece here. So, and then I still need to install like these pieces over this kind of more of a silver, and nothing gets installed the next day until all the edges have been heat sealed that was installed from the previous day, because we don't want to fill any of these edges with new slip solution or tack solution and then have to wait again. They're completely dry, so that's the very first thing I do in the morning is heat seal and wrap any edges that were done the previous day. Okay, so we've got a little bit sticking up right here. Let's kind of get you in here. Got a little bit sticking up here, so I'm gonna go ahead and push that down first. And then we'll put some heat on it and heat seal this edge. So this area here, when we were doing the bumper video, did not want to stick and stay down. So I went ahead and let that dry overnight, and then we're going to push it down now. Now, if this was anything, this is a white vehicle, so we can get away with that. But if this was a black vehicle or something that was going to show work marks in the adhesive more, then I definitely would not have allowed this to stay and cure like this overnight, because it could potentially leave a line right where it dried and where it's stuck down. But on white, you're not going to see it. So we're going to go ahead and push this down. Just keep slowly working our way over the edge here. Okay. You see, what happened was that it was sticking up a little too high and it was bumping into this silver piece, so it wasn't allowing it to stick down yesterday. And then we'll go ahead and get that final little piece down, and then I'm even going to go a step further and kind of tuck it underneath there with this tool here. And then we're going to add some heat to that and just kind of push down over it. Okay, and then let's go ahead and show you how we do these. So we do let these hang over, and then we trim them about 1/8 of an inch or so over, and then we're just going to make sure that we're off the face here again. I do have a video on exactly how we do these. It's on a Porsche, and so if you want the full process of how we do the tow hook covers, I've got a video on that on the channel. Just search for tow hook covers, it'll come up. All right, so first thing I want to do is get the corner in. Then I want to kind of try and start getting that part in, because there's going to be extra material because of this body line here where it changes the angle. And so if we push this down first, it kind of splits the extra material to this side and that side. And then we're going to just go back and forth here, and then we'll do the same back and forth here. Okay, just double check everything. It's all down really good. All right, so you need to push down every edge every time. So we're gonna come back here to the relief cut, and we'll push this down into the fog light area. Same, here's another relief cut. All right, and then right here we do have a seam. So I'm gonna go ahead and run my fingers over that seam first, and then we're gonna put some heat on it. Just gonna go back and forth over the top of it. Okay. Now you can see we're hanging over here. So let's go ahead and wrap that around. It's such a small piece, I'm gonna go ahead and just wrap it down, and then we'll put some heat on it and make sure it stays stuck. All right, so yesterday when I was tucking this in, I obviously left a little bit of water in there, and so there's an air pocket. So what I'm going to do is kind of push that into one tighter area. I'm going to go into that just a little bit there, and then put my finger on it, and then I'm gonna take and brush up across my finger as I pull the needle out. You do not, so I'm coming up like this away from the material as I'm pulling out. You don't want to drag this down the material because you will scratch the material, and you know that could be noticeable on different color vehicle. White's not going to be such a thing, but let's not damage the material. We're already poking a hole in it. GoPro needs a battery. I'll be right back. All right, there we go. Let's get back at this. So I can see I'm hanging over just a tiny bit right there. I'm gonna try and just convince that to stay down. But I will be checking this again before it goes home to make sure that that stayed down. If it didn't stay down, I'm gonna come back and trim it off. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and push all this down here. Make sure that it's stuck down, and then we'll go ahead and put some heat on it. And I cannot see the edge there, so I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that if it's a little bit deeper in there that I'm getting it. Oh, there's the edge. Yeah, it is in there just a tiny bit, and so that's gonna be hard to get with the glove. Okay. Some of that would be thick enough that you could fit this tool in there, but then it's gonna pinch it as you get further down. Okay. You know, so this is a real tedious part of the job, but it's absolutely necessary. This is going to help the edges keep them from popping back up. So up here again, you can see that we're not fully stuck down, so I'm going to go ahead and push all this down, and then we can put some heat on it. So if you start to notice when you're gliding across that it's your finger's starting to not slide real well, it's starting to like get real sticky, then you want to back off with that heat. All right. All right, so let's take a look at this. We've got a little bit of excess hanging over the bottom, and then it does wrap around here, and then we want to stick that part down. Get that down, and let's see what we can do about that corner, and then we'll work back away from the corner. Now let's heat all that up and get it to stay down. Okay, so I'm gonna go over this with my finger, and then I'm gonna come back for this one because it does want to just barely wrap under that edge. And like I said, these bottoms I will be double checking before it goes home to make sure that they stay stuck down. So hopefully you can see these fingers popping up right here, these real minor ones. I'm gonna go ahead and push those down first. And then we can put some heat on them and make sure they stay down. Again, there's a couple little edges here popping up. Push all that down, and then let's get some heat on it. Make sure everything's down around this edge in this area. And we'll go ahead and heat seal it. All right, let's go ahead and trim around where the license plate is attached to the front bumper. If you're buying a brand new car and you can stop them from doing this, please do. This slays me that people allow the bumper to get almost immediately ruined before they drive it off the lot. There's other ways to attach a front license plate to a vehicle than holes in the actual bumper itself. Okay, so I went real big on this one because it's got these lines in it that were designed, I think, as like a placement line to show you the center. It's like a cross, I think. That's my guess anyway. Okay, let's see if we can get this to tear apart. Try that out. All right, and then so we're gonna go over this last piece here. It's definitely tedious, but it's important. So don't skip the heat sealing of the edges. You'll get yourself a lot less comebacks, and you'll find that your work will have a lot less edges popping up that are catching dirt. Even if the customer doesn't come back, you don't want your stuff out there running around with a bunch of dirt in the edges, because they're telling them you did it. And even if they're happy with the work or they're fine with it, you know, somebody looking at it might be more particular than them. So every edge, every time. All right, let's see, let's get you down here. So on these as well, if this edge is like a really tight corner, really tight, not so rounded, then what I'll do sometimes is actually put a slit in the material like this to help it to contour into there and stay stuck down. You know, also if I find that one of these was to pop up, then that would be the answer, would be to put a relief cut in it and then lay it down, although that we're not going to have that issue. But on some of the really tight corners, you could find that that'll be hard to get it to stay down, as well as because it needs because it's going to be more of a more tension and stretch there, that those might pop up. So I just put a little slit in those and then boop, wrap them in. Terrific. Well, that was the process of doing some heat sealing, some wrapping, some trimming, some tucking, so all those things. So if you found something helpful, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.